The 360 camera industry in 2026 is operating in one of the most intense competitive phases it has ever seen. This category, once dominated by a single clear leader, has now evolved into a fierce, three-way technological contest where each major player is pushing aggressively in entirely different directions. DJI entered the space with a heavy focus on larger sensors and dominant low-light performance. GoPro returned after a long development cycle with the highly anticipated Max 2. And Insta360? The longtime market leader now finds itself defending its crown with what appears to be its next massive release, the Insta360 X6. What makes the current situation particularly interesting is that the earliest public sign of the X6 wasn't a teaser campaign, a marketing leak, or an official announcement. Instead, it came through official regulatory filings that surfaced in late March. At first glance, it looked like an unremarkable entry in a government certification database. But the details quickly drew major attention from industry watchers. The name explicitly listed was the Insta360 X6, and for those who follow product cycles closely, this kind of filing is the single most reliable indicator that a retail launch is imminent. The X6 has now cleared certification across 3 separate global regions: China, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States. Because these approvals arrived within the exact same week, it strongly points to a coordinated global rollout strategy rather than isolated regional testing. The device is officially associated with the model designation SABCA under registration number ER5764626. While certification alone doesn't detail every specification, it guarantees that the physical hardware is finished and ready for production. At the same time, another undeniable market pattern has emerged. The current flagship, the Insta360 X5, has begun receiving consistent price reductions across major retail platforms worldwide. Discounts of around $100 have quietly popped up on multiple storefronts, with Amazon and global retailers matching the price adjustments almost instantly. This behavior isn't accidental, it's classic Insta360 playbook strategy. Historically, the company follows a predictable pricing life cycle where previous models are heavily discounted right before a successor is announced. Both the X4 and the X5 experienced identical price drops weeks before launching. This repetition tells us the X6 is approaching its official announcement window, aiming squarely for a major summer release. To understand why the X6 is generating so much industry hype, we have to look closely at where the current X5 stands, and why its hardware limitations have become so obvious. The X5 introduced dual 1.28-inch sensors, a clear leap past the older half-inch class modules. It paired them with a 5-nanometer AI processor alongside twin imaging engines. This setup worked wonders for computational low-light capture in modes like pure video. However, despite these computational tricks, the X5 has hit strict technical boundaries that software updates simply cannot fix. The biggest bottleneck is its resolution pipeline. Although the camera technically outputs an 8K file, the sensor architecture relies heavily on upscaling. The final frame is partially reconstructed from lower-resolution data rather than being fully resolved natively at the sensor level. Furthermore, the processing core lacks internal 10-bit color recording. While casual users uploading to social media might not care, for professional creators color grading in DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere Pro, an 8-bit pipeline severely restricts flexibility. Pushing exposure or stretching saturation quickly introduces ugly banding and pixel degradation. Then, there's the thermal problem. In real-world production, especially in warm outdoor environments, continuous 8K recording on the X5 typically triggers thermal protection, shutting down the camera within 70 to 80 minutes. If the ambient temperature climbs past 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit, that recording runtime shrinks even faster. For creators shooting long-form travel documentaries, multi-hour events, or continuous action sports sequences, this heating issue moves from a minor theoretical limitation to a major practical headache. These specific technical limitations form the exact foundation of the Insta360 X6 development cycle. According to consistent industry leaks and regulatory clues, the X6 is engineered specifically to strike down these exact weaknesses. The headline upgrade? The rumored adoption of a massive, true 1-inch sensor system across both lenses. This would represent a staggering leap in raw light-gathering capability and dynamic range, launching the X6 right past competing devices like DJI's Osmo series. But packaging dual 1-inch sensors into a pocketable 360-degree body is an engineering nightmare. Larger sensors generate severe heat loads and demand physical real estate. To survive, the internal architecture has to be completely re-engineered. This is where the rumored transition to a premium magnesium alloy chassis becomes crucial. A highly rigid, thermally conductive metal frame acts as a physical heatsink, sustaining high-resolution 8K workflows without hitting the thermal throttling wall. Ultimately, the Insta360 X6 is emerging at a pivotal turning point in the market. With regulatory approvals locked down, steady price drops clearing out older X5 stock, and a spec sheet tailor-made to fix structural complaints, a summer launch is practically a certainty. Whether it dominates the arena depends entirely on how perfectly Insta360 balances massive hardware innovation with real-world thermal efficiency and software intelligence. For now, all signs reveal a product designed not as a lazy, incremental update, but as a massive strategic counterstrike against a rapidly evolving field. But what about you? Is a dual 1-inch sensor enough to make you upgrade, or do you prioritize recording times? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button for the latest hardware breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next one. For an explicit look at how competitive pressure from rival tech giants is accelerating these features, see the Insta360 versus DJI Action and Pocket ecosystem leaks, which details the engineering design changes and legal battles currently shaping the 2026 action camera market.